Alright everyone, you guys know what time it is. Metro Boomin and Future finally released a new collab album. So in this video I will be showing you guys how you can recreate a similar sound to the album. Now I just want to preference this that you guys need to make sure to watch the entire video because I will be breaking down everything from scratch. So we're going to start off with the main melody, add those layers and make sure that everything is neat for the main thing. Then we're also going to add a little bit of bounce using those drums, but then we're going to go back to the melody to add those details that Metro Boomin is super well known for, as well as adding a little bit of texture and continuing on the arrangement before we finish off the whole beat. So like I said, make sure you guys watch the whole thing the entire way through so that you don't miss any of those details. With that being said, let's not waste any more time, let's just jump right in. Alright, so we're now here in FL Studio 21, the best DAW in the entire world. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, it's just personal preference. Please, Ableton and Logic guys, don't hate me. But anyways, we're here in FL Studio. First things first, we want to lay down our BPM so we really get that Metro Boomin sound. Obviously, whenever you are trying to make something Metro Boomin Future-esque type of stuff, you just need to make sure that you are somewhere in between 110 and 150 BPM. Usually, that's where the trap range is really popular. So in this case, I actually really like the second song off the album called Young Metro. We have these super eerie and dark strings and whole dark vibe to the song. So what I actually think I'm gonna do is go for a little bit of a slower vibe since it's very similar to that song. So we're gonna bump this down to 112 BPM. And since I want to try to recreate that string type of sound he has in the song, we're just gonna be using this Sonoscore string over here. It's just this lyrical cello legato preset. It's very easy to use and it also gives you a really very realistic sound to it as well. So we are going to be using this, and the key we're gonna be working in is actually going to be F sharp minor. But as you guys know, we're probably gonna lower this a little bit down later so we can get a more darker sound out of our sample. But let's just start at F sharp minor and start going from there. Alright, so to kind of recreate that Metro Boomin type of string sound, we just want to start off by putting down a simple F sharp minor chord, and then we're going to adjust it a little bit later. So this is kind of going to be our main chord. Obviously, we don't want to have this whole thing playing, but we're going to create a pretty repetitive and catchy pattern using the string, and then we can actually add some layers later on to kind of fill out the whole thing. So the way we're going to do this is by starting off with inverting this middle note. So we're just going to highlight it and pitch it up by 1 octave. And then we want to extend these a little bit out so we can get that catchy type of pattern. All right, so I'm just going to shorten this to like half a bar right here. And to make this a little bit repetitive, as you guys might know, we kind of just want to copy a little bit of it over, but we're not going to have the same pattern repeat over and over again. We're going to switch a little bit of the timing so we can get that realistic sound, and also so we can make it a little bit more catchy. So instead of having the same pattern, I'm actually going to have this top note come before this middle note right here. So we're just going to adjust this over here, and then we're going to move this to the side. Right, so this is going to be our first section. Now to start getting a little bit more of a darker sound, we want to utilize these half steps that we have right here. So the way we're going to do this, again, copy this over and adjust a little bit of the pattern. But this top note, since it is on these half steps, I'm actually going to pitch this down by 1 semitone. I'm also going to delete this second part because I want to change it up a little bit, again, to really create a little bit more of a catchy sound. And I think that this can be a bit shorter as well. So let's actually adjust the timing a little bit. All right, now for this last section, what we're actually going to do from here is copy the first pattern that we had over. And we're going to do a little bit of an adjustment to this, again, just to kind of switch those few notes around so we don't have the same exact pattern over and over again, but we're still kind of utilizing the same pattern. So the adjustments we're going to do right here is, first of all, highlight this top note and pitch it down by 1 octave so we don't have it inverted. Then I actually want to pitch this down 2 semitones as well, and then we can actually just keep this note consistent so we have it the same as this one. But I think I'm going to adjust the timing a little bit, so let's actually move this maybe to the side a bit instead. Yeah, that's the sound we're going for right there. So we can just keep this consistent. This is catchy enough. And just add some effects. Of course, this is super dry. Right, so I'm super happy with how these strings are sounding. They're super similar to the Metro Boomin vibe that we're going for. The last thing we want to do before we add those effects is obviously to go in over here and adjust a little bit of the velocity. It's just going to help us get more of a realistic sound, so I'm just going to do this very quickly, and then we can add some simple effects. Alright, so I just quickly adjusted the velocity and also rendered out the violin. As you guys can see, it's a little bit off time because of the plugin. So the only thing I'm going to do is go over to this slip knob over here, and I'm going to adjust a little bit of the timing on the violin. So if I just hold Alt on my keyboard and move this slightly to the side, just so we can get that good timing, it's going to leave us with a little bit of dead end right here. But we can obviously fix this very easily, or we can even try to have maybe a little bit of a chopped sound at the end, which is also something that Metro Boomin tends to do sometimes, so this might actually work. Right, so with a chopped sound at the end, yeah, that's kind of cool. So we're just gonna add some effects and get this violin done. Right, so first of all, add a little bit of reverb using Roam at about 28 to 25%, just so the whole violin kind of glues together a bit easier. RC20 is a must as well. Turn down distortion a bit so we don't get it too loud. Alright, so now I want to show you guys a little bit of a different trick you guys can do with this string. So I'm going to go into Portal, head over to the presets, and make sure to get my Mirage multi-kit. It is going to be on my website or linked down below. I have this Portal preset bank in here, and I'm going to use this Blaze preset. It's going to give these strings a super cool sound, but still kind of keep the main melody. So if you just play this, I'm going to turn the dry wet to about 20%. And you can hear the texture already, so this is super Metro Boomin-esque. Gonna go in and add a sketch cassette as well to kind of get a vintage sound. It's gonna fit the strings super nicely as well, you can already hear it. A little bit of chorus as well to kind of add to that dark and tension sound. If you want more tension out of your samples, usually just adding a chorus is going to give you that sound. And lastly, let's clean this up with the EQ. Gonna remove a lot of the low frequencies, we don't want that from our main melody. Right, so now that we have the strings done, it's time that we add a little bit more of a layer so we can fill out the whole sample. So then I'm just going to open up Mellotron 5 and I'm going to use a faded or kind of taped piano. Just try to experiment with the different sounds, but definitely go with a little bit more of a deeper sound so we can fill out the frequencies that we kind of turned away from the strings. Just kind of reusing these same notes that we already had. Just make sure to add those layers as well so you get a deeper sound. Also, when you are adding these layers, just make sure to go very closely in on this second note and just hold Alt on your keyboard while moving it slightly off grid. This again is just going to help you get that super realistic sound. Metro Boomin is very good at using these synths and different kind of electric type of instruments, but still making sure that they actually sound realistic. Go to the magnitude transition 1 on this one. Play a little bit around with this. And the magnitude as well. Also gonna go in and play a little bit around the pitch already. This I'm most likely just gonna adjust up and down throughout the whole video. Next we're gonna go into Analog Lab 5 and just add a sub bass. Please guys, don't overthink it when it comes to the sub bass. Just use whatever synth bass or sub bass you guys have, as long as it's a clean sound. A lot of you guys are just like overcomplicating sub basses. Literally just keep it very simple and just put it on the root notes of your main melody. Alright, so we're just gonna have this. Obviously this sub bass has a lot of noise to it, so let's just go in and adjust that. I can actually maybe have this up. Yeah, I kind of like that. It's super cool. Alright, now we actually have three pretty essential parts to the melody. So like I was talking about in the intro, I feel like now we should actually start laying down a couple of the drums just to start getting that bounce going and the arrangement already. And then we're going to come back to the melody so we can really add those textures and those little details that's going to add a huge difference to the whole sample as a whole. Now I just want to preference this that you can't really get that Metro Boomin type of sound unless you are using clean and good sounding drum sounds. So if you guys like any of the drum sounds you hear in this video, you can obviously use the same drum sounds as me. All the sounds that I'm using are coming from my Motion bundle kit, which you can also find using the link down below. It literally has 4 different kits all in one bundle, so make sure to check it out while you can. But with that being said, we're going to head over to the Motion bundle kit over here, and I'm literally just going to put a couple different drum sounds in. So I'm thinking something like a clap or a snare, as well as the hi-hats and maybe a little bit of an open hat. But that's pretty much going to be it before we add those details. So Metro Boomin usually tends to use snares instead of claps as well. So we're gonna kind of do the same thing. And then we're also gonna come in with the hi-hat. Now in the song, Young Metro, he actually has, I think, a consistent hi-hat pattern like this right here. So I did just adjust the velocity so we can get some more swing in our hi-hats. So that's something you guys can do as well. Just some simple piano stabs like this. And then later on the arrangement, we can also switch in between the octaves. So now we have it higher up. Just like super small details like this go a long way. I also just went into Spice and I found this little bit of a texture type of lead right here. So I'm just gonna add a few effects to this to make it match. So pretty much just a very large reverb like this. And also just a little bit of a EQ to clean up the sound as well. Now we can just hear it's a bit in the background, but it's still present and adds that texture. So we can just add a lot of these elements throughout the whole beat. What I've also done is just rendered out this main violin melody, and I'm going to come in here later on and we're going to double click it as well as reversing it so we can have a reverse section of the violin later on in the beat. So now we're pretty much starting to finish off the whole melody with those textures and details that we're adding. Now from here I just think it's really about the arrangement as well as the drums to finish it off. So this is kind of the reverse section right here, which we can have some more added stuff later on too as well. Right, so with the drums, we're just trying to recreate the same vibe from the song. It has this very basic type of kick pattern especially, like the kicks are super simple. Just have some lower velocity, some on the higher velocity as well. Right, so we're definitely starting to get there. We can also do some cool stuff with the violin on the arrangement. Right, so now with most of the drums and the melody finished, I'm just quickly going to arrange the whole thing. Like I said, the arrangement is going to be a little bit different, so I'm going to take you guys through the whole beat, and I'm going to try to explain the arrangement in the process as well. Alright, so now we have pretty much the whole arrangement finished, so before I show you guys the final beat, I'm just going to walk you through a couple of the unique steps you guys can do in the arrangement and the kind of the things I did in this one. So first of all, we have the drums right away, just like in the Young Metro song. We have the drums starting off right with the intro as well as kind of the main stuff from the melody. Also, if you guys listen to the song, Metro Boomin uses a lot of different effects. He kind of has this gunshot effect as well as some like weird glitchy spaceship type of stuff. So if you guys didn't know, I actually already have kind of these effects in both the Mirage multi-kit and the Motion bundle kit. So if I just went into the effects over here, I actually just used this shot effect right here, as well as this spaceship effect I have right here. So you kind of just have to tweak them with different effects and kind of timing them correctly. But that is kind of what I did right here. So that is definitely a little bit of a cool cheat code. With this, we also have the reverse section. I think I said this with the violin. So we already have the reverse section that kind of switches up things, and then also we have this automation, which is actually a portal automation on the counter melody with the piano that we added a little bit earlier in the details section from the video. Right, so with all that being said, this is the final beat. So it starts right in. Here you can hear that gunshot sound. And then it kind of drops in right here. You have the counter melody come in. Have it an octave up, then it comes octave down. Now this is where things really get cool right here. Take a listen to this. Dude, this switches up completely. Yeah. So different. It's so catchy as well. A little bit of some delay drums right there.